Coach, you going to move the rest of your home games away from Redwood Bowl? Just how things are going this season?
We've chartered a bus, and on Friday we're going to drive over to Reading and back. I think you've referred to us as the Road Warriors, and proud of this team for the way they handle the travel. It's difficult, but it's also, and we tell our players, and they buy into it, that when you sign on at Humboldt State, that's what you sign up for, and because it's just our trips are going to be lengthy ones. And this one was no different. Every trip we have is a Thursday departure, a Sunday return, with the exception of the Western Oregon game. So, again, where other programs will make a big deal out of it because they rarely do it, because it's a norm for us, we make it into a positive. As our players certainly do. Again, you heard Blair say that it's a team building and team bonding experience and opportunity, and that's how we approach it. So, proud of our players for handling the difficulty of travel the way they have, and obviously our record on the road, I think, reflects that.
Unfortunately, injuries do happen in football, and you guys have had players step up. Obviously, with Blair, he gets injured in the game, but not only have you had players playing different positions, but players stepping up, if it's the line, if it's a running back. Players have performed for you, and you guys, 3-2, overall, where in some games you'd have those injuries and that would be it, but you guys have shown the depth and people standing up.
Really proud of our players for doing just that, stepping up the way they have. We won a game on Saturday on the road without Jaquan Gardner, without Chase Crevichet, without Lucas Govin, without Sage Burmeister injured in the first quarter, right? Without John Todd, without Dylan Zubernick, without Dylan Littles. All these are starters on the offensive side of the ball. And the players that went in for them are players that in some cases either were getting their first opportunity to play or certainly their first extended opportunity. Colton Burgess gets his first start at center. Shane Torrey, a true freshman, his first start at tight end. Blair Zur, his first start at running back. And then players like Cassius Pierce and other receivers getting extended minutes. And Cassius, I think, played 70 plays. And I don't think in his career he's probably played no more than 15 or 20 plays. So again, the players stepped up, and we did what we needed to do and made enough plays to win. So very, very proud. I think we showed great character with this win, and it is a next man up mentality right now, just because it has to be. But whether they're out of position, Richard Doctor, a running back playing at receiver, for example, or getting their first opportunity to play, guys did enough. Then our defense played well enough with a big stop in the fourth quarter on the goal line to allow us to come away with a hard-fought win. We had to grind that one out, no question about it. When you look at the travel, and again, we left here at 11:30 Thursday morning to play a 12 noon local time in Nebraska game and such, 85 degrees at elevation. It was a tough game, but our players showed great heart, great determination, and did what they needed to do to get a much-needed win.
As of right now, at Tuesday, going into Saturday's matchup, looking at the medical clipboard, where do you guys stand injury-wise? And some players that got hurt, and what is their status for Saturday?
Well, I hope that we're turning the corner. We will have Lucas Govin back and Dylan Littles back, our center and our starting tight end, both who missed last week. They are confirmed back. Jaquan Gardner, again, it really will be determined by how he gets through this week in practice. Obviously, we're 2 weeks now out from injury, and so you hope he's better this week than he was last week. But whether he's ready to go or not will remain to be seen. Chase Crevichet is out this week. Has his MRI today, and we're anticipating that we may be playing the remainder of the year without Chase, and that'd be a shame. He's a team captain for us, a tremendous leader and performer. The good thing will be is that he's only played in 3 games, and if it is a season-ending situation, then he will qualify, we believe, for a medical red shirt and be able to come back. But yeah, we got players out, and some players coming back. John Todd, who's been out since the Azusa game with a knee injury, an MCL, will start practice again today, and through practice we'll determine whether he's able to help us this Saturday or whether it's going to be another week. But hopefully we're getting to the point where we can get a couple players back and help us. And all the injuries seem to be, for the most part, on the offensive side. Our defense is getting better week in, week out. They had their best game certainly at Chadron, And as young as they are, we know you're going to keep getting better. So to be able to keep healthy on that side of the ball has been very important for us.
You guys have had some pretty good crowds this season. Homecoming on Saturday. Expect another big crowd. And for you guys, obviously, you don't want to go 0-3 at Redwood Bowl to start out.
No, we don't, Manny. Obviously we're disappointed with being winless at home thus far. We had a nice streak, 2014, 2015, not losing a game into Redwood Bowl, something we take great pride in. And obviously we've had two very close losses where we've had the ball in our hand in the final drive and a chance to win the game, both against Azusa and against Western Oregon. But bottom line is, did not get it done in those situations. So we're excited to be back home. Homecoming is a big thing at Humboldt State. I learned that my first year here in 2008 when we didn't have a very good football team, but we drew a big crowd for homecoming. And we know that a lot of alums, a lot of people will be back watching this game as the only game they might see here this season. So we want to be at our best, and we got a difficult task with Central Washington. Obviously, I've lined up on the other side against the Wildcats many times when I was at Western Washington, and so there's not a lot of love lost there. Don't like the Wildcats, want to beat them in a big way, and I think our players feel that way now too. It's a nice game because we have mutual respect, and so excited to get back to the Redwood Bowl in front of what should be a very big crowd. It looks like the weather forecast is positive, so it's an exciting day on campus, and we want to end that day with a big win on Saturday.
How do you feel like you guys match up with them?
Well, we're just starting to watch them. One of the problems when you get back late Sunday is you lose that day of preparation. So we had all day yesterday to kind of digest what they're doing. They have a new defensive coordinator, and he's doing some different things defensively, a very aggressive defense with good athletes on that side of the ball. They've got a veteran quarterback in Lane throwing to a veteran receiver in Zalt, but they've got other good receivers as well. And they just look improved almost at every position as you look at them. We went up there last year and were able to get a win, but really this is a different football team, even though it has some of the same pieces like Lane and Zalt. But they're good. They led Portland State in their opener. Portland State at the time was ranked 12th in the FCS. Led them entering the fourth quarter at Portland State, and then they led Azusa Pacific with under 5 minutes to go. Those are their two losses. So they, like us, they've played everybody close. All right, and like us, they're disappointed that they weren't able to close it out with those close losses. But again, they're a much improved team. They're one of those teams that's at the top of our conference right now, and we're going to have to be at our best.
With so many injuries for you guys on offense, do you have to change the play calling just to the players' ability or strengths?
Well, you certainly look at that, but we are who we are, and we will do what we do. And it sounds simplistic that way, but it really has to be that way. Again, still got Robert Weber back there. Has he had a great season or what? He's protected by an offensive line that is doing a great job with that protection, but he's also making some great decisions. The Western Oregon game, setting a school record for completions, a conference record for yards. The game last Saturday, 32 of 42, like that, no interceptions, no sacks. We did everything we needed to do to win that game, taking care of the football, and he's done a great job with his decision making. So I don't want to change things up. We're going to put the ball in his hands and let him do what he does, make those decisions, and he's done a great job with that, and just have command of that offense. And again, like I said, we're hopeful that we can put 4 receivers out there that are healthy and upright and make a go of it.
You talked about the guys grinding to get the win on Saturday. What does it do for them mentally, being a young team, especially on defense, to see these young guys, these new guys jumping in there and being able to grind away?
I think it's huge. You got to have success. I mean, you can just talk about it, but if you don't see some of the proof, then it's no good. And for them to get that fourth quarter stop, again, it was 3rd and 2 on the 2, then it was 4th and 1 on the 1, and they're able to come up with a huge stop. If they don't, we don't win that game. So that's what you build on, and they held Chadron to just 20 points, and obviously that's been a little bit of a nemesis for us is our scoring defense. So they're a very young group still. We started James Clark at outside backer. He's just a sophomore for the first time. We don't have a lot of depth, so it's the same guys up front that are playing play after play. But it's really nice from a coaching standpoint when you have some success to say, see, there you go. You keep working hard, the good things will happen. And they have continued to work hard, so it was nice to get that win.
Did you see anything with the guys in their talk and how they're interacting with each other after the game?
It's coming together. It really is. We have really emphasized how important that is. That you mentioned, you heard Blair earlier talk about the concept of family and just doing everything we can to promote that we're in this together. Win, lose, whatever, we're in this together, and so let's support one another. Whether you hang out off the field or not, it's your family on the field. And again, I see that happening. I really do. And like I said, when you have so many freshmen, I think we've played 11 freshmen thus far. Last year, for example, we played 2. All right, not one of them started. This year, I think we've started 8 freshmen at different times. So it tells you right there that this is a different year, different team, and it just doesn't happen overnight. It does take time. But yeah, we're seeing progress, and it is right before our eyes. We're starting to see that team building, team bonding process happen.
Now, for the homecoming game, it's going to be a big crowd like we talked about. And of course, you guys haven't won yet at home. What are you going to be telling the guys in the locker room to their face?
It's time to win home. It's time to win home. That's simple. Again, we just got to go out and do what we do and play mistake-free football. A lot of times mistakes, whether it be turnovers like we saw against Azusa Pacific or against Western Oregon, just defenders getting out of position. Those mistakes will hurt you in a big way. And so, again, as we continue to grow as a football team on both sides of the ball, let's hope that we can eliminate that. But we just need to go out and play. And as we continue to play, continue to gain that experience and the confidence that comes through that, then we're going to be just fine. But again, it's a difficult task. There's good football teams in this conference. There truly are. We saw that with Azusa Pacific. We saw that with Western Oregon, and we will see that Saturday with Central Washington. But we also look at the fact that we're 2 possessions away from being 5-0 right now, 2 possessions away from being undefeated. So we're also a good football team. Yes, we're dealing with our injuries, and yes, we're young on the defensive side, but no excuses. Let's find a way, as we did this past Saturday, let's find a way by playing good team football. What I do know is that our best football is ahead of us. Okay, we haven't played it yet. We haven't come together completely yet. And as we do, and we get all 3 phases, offense and defense and kicking game, working together, then I think everybody's going to be excited about those results when that happens. But it's why you practice. It's why we go to work again today to get that done.
And then any slight tweaks that you're going to do at home? I know you said you're going to stay with the game plan and put the ball in Robert's hands, but any different approach you're going to take to the game, seeing as you haven't won at home yet, that maybe you'll just change it up a little bit?
Well, as we get through this week, we got to see where we're at. Is Jaquan Gardner healthy and ready to play? Because that changes our game plan, certainly. If he is John Todd ready to come back at receivers? Because if he is, then our game plan will be adjusted to take advantage of that. But we still got to be who we are, regardless of the injuries or regardless of the opponent. So we did a great job last week of helping our defense out with time of possession. We won time of possession 42 minutes to 18 minutes. All right, so if we can continue to sustain drives, and we did that by converting on 3rd downs, we did that by not turning the ball over offensively, and that allowed us to come away with a win. And certainly, if we can, if I can draw a blueprint for what we need on Saturday, it'll be much the same. We've got to win time of possession because their offense is very, very potent. All right, and we've got to make sure that we play turnover free and not beat ourselves. So if we can do that, it'll be a good solid football game. If we turn the ball over and get a lot of 3 and outs, then that's when we find ourselves in trouble.
And then last question, of these new guys stepping up and stepping in, whose name do we not know that we should keep a lookout for on Saturday?
That's a great question. Isaiah Hall will be one. Okay, Isaiah is a freshman running back that up until last Saturday was destined to redshirt this year. But because of the injuries at the position, first the injury to Jaquan, then the need of moving Richard Doctor out to receiver because of Chase Crevichet's injury, and now the injury to Blair Zer, he's going to play and will play a fair amount, we think. So here's a guy that a week ago was going to redshirt. Now we're talking about him in a significant role. So he's certainly one right there. We're going to look at some young receivers in Travis Nichols from McKinleyville. We're going to look at him through practice this week. We got Brian Fisher, another receiver that transferred in that has yet to play. Both those guys have not played a snap of ball. varsity ball yet, and yet we're going to have to, we're going to give them a good look right now. So there will be some moving pieces, but a lot of it's going to be determined by the health of guys, and are they able to come back this week, or are we still a week out?
Guys, that's two more quick questions.
Okay.
Kind of that, teams that don't have injuries and, pretty much set starters, but for you guys having the injuries, and it sounds like even this week, there's guys that competing, for starting time this week. And, for the players, I mean, just having competition, as we enter,
Yeah.
the midpoint of this season.
Competition is the greatest motivator there is. It really is. And these kids have worked hard. They're deserving of this opportunity. And exactly how it will play out remains to be seen. But when we're limited at depth, depth has always been our biggest issue, type of deal. And again, we can recruit a starting group in most cases, but it's that core depth behind that's always been difficult for us. And last year we were able to go through a season for the most part with very few significant injuries. We lost Chris Hannibal late in the year. We lost Lucas Gubbin late in the year, but we had a Jared Leal ready to step in. But as I look at it, those were the two injuries that kind of stand out. And like I said, I rattled off how many names earlier in this discussion. So again, but it creates opportunity. It should boost morale, that these guys know that they have that chance, and they're deserving of that. They really are, and love to be able to put some of these guys that I've mentioned out on the field. But again, we're gonna play this one as straight up as best we can, and hope for a positive outcome.
I promise, last question. In the game notes, red zone 20, scored on 20 of 22 trips in there. As a coach, when you are in the red zone, knowing that you guys have had success in the red zone, does that make you tend more to go for the end zone rather than kick a field goal?
This is an offense that should score points, really. Again, and when we're at full health, and then obviously we're far from that right now. But what I'm proud of, we had 500 yards on Saturday, and like I said, 0 sacks and 0 turnovers. So again, we're doing the things that you need to do. But yeah, when we get to the red zone, there's a mentality that okay, we want 7, not 3. And we've been very consistent with, Cameron Southward, our field goal kicker, has missed just 1 field goal, and that was a 52-yard attempt. That's his only miss, and he's perfect on our PAT situation. But we had a situation on Saturday where we had to settle for 3, but that was after a drop on a sure touchdown, and by a young player. Okay, so again, you're disappointed because you left 4 points out there that you want to get. But yeah, we have a mentality down there. We work on it. Every Wednesday practice we have red zone Skelly. Every Wednesday and Thursday we're emphasizing both red zone and goal line situations, and I think that has paid off.